Mr. Nicos Sifakis, welcome to the start of the year Symposium of TESOL Greece. It is an honor and a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Group work. How is group work related to the effectiveness of learning in general? And how is it particularly important in working in groups when learning English?
Well, first of all, when we teach people, we have to understand that we are social beings, which means that when we enter a class of more than one people, it's inevitable that we want to cooperate with other people. Now, this happens automatically when we teach. All teachers allocate group work. The question is how much, to what extent do they think about it? In the sense that do they get different people to work with different people and formulate different kinds of groups, rather than having the same groups formed and reformed over and over again, even at times when it doesn't seem to work. Now, as far as your second question goes, groups are a natural way of engaging in when you want to learn a language, a foreign language, because we want to communicate in a foreign language. And if we can do it with someone that we have an association with, a connection with, it's even better because it's easier, it's more straightforward, we feel more secure and safe when we engage in that activity. And in that way we learn much better and much quicker, without realizing it, without feeling that we work so hard.
What are some of the obstacles that a teacher might want to consider when deciding to teach in groups? Because traditionally, well, it's really a more modern thing. Teaching in groups is more a thing of the 20th century tradition. It becomes popular now because obviously because it's valuable. But what are some of the things that one needs to consider?
I don't think there are obstacles in the sense that, yes, groups are the result of the whole educational procedure. We've been working with groups ever since schools came into being, because schools were populated by people, by students. Now, it's all a question of the teacher knowing that we learn best by working in groups. Groups are inevitable in the educational process. We have to learn as teachers how to work with groups, not as the person who provides the task, as a task provider, but as the person who, yes, has designed the tasks. The tasks are appropriate for the different members of the groups, and is essentially the leader of his class, or her class. Is not at the top of the class telling people what to do, but allows the task to breathe, the class to breathe through task work, through group work.
Okay. The question that came to my mind now, listening to you, is we all are products of our educational systems, each one of his own very graphic. And most of the teachers in Greece obviously have been through the Greek educational system. Would you say that the teachers are prepared, are given the tools, if you wish, to engage in such an educational system and in teaching in groups? Because I don't know, I imagine it's more difficult. It takes more work, and I'm not sure whether we are prepared for that. Whether the teachers are prepared.
This is a very good question. It goes much deeper and has to. You know, if you really want to look at it seriously, you have to look at the way of the teachers are trained. Essentially, teacher training is a major issue. If you look at seminars and training projects around Greece, or even beyond Greece, this is the case everywhere. They tend to focus on teaching the pedagogical aspect, which is essentially teaching, learning how to apply task-based learning, or engage in grammatical activities that are sensible and communicative. And there's virtually nothing on educational psychology. And this is something that should be enhanced a lot more, and I'm really happy that TESOL Greece is opening up to this possibility. And although even if you look at the literature globally, the research literature in ELT, there's only one book on educational psychology by Dornier. There's nothing really about learning how to treat, handle, and engage groups, and that's really
It's a wide,
surprising.
open, new field, educational psychology.
It's always been a new field. It's always been there as a field.
But
For some reason, it's been characterized as being part of the educational psychologists, which is a different discipline.
Oh, it's
Okay, we're an ELT community, and it has to do with that to some extent. But I think now we have to, with technology and with all these wonderful tools that we have, it's very easy to learn about group work and how to deal with it.
I noticed that you mentioned earlier in your speech, in your presentation, that it's very important for teachers to know as much as possible about the students, about each and every single one of the students. Obviously, when the group becomes larger, it's more difficult for the teacher to remember. But here's where technology can also help the teacher, because we can easily make a note on your calendar and put the names and pictures in your telephone even.
The wonderful tools, freely available. There's actually a large number, too large a number of tools. You need a guide to navigate, but it's really very, very easy. And you don't, even without these tools, you can still do it, because we shouldn't forget that when we're talking about groups, we're talking about human relations. And we want to use technology to that extent, to the extent that it enhances our relationship with other people, rather than as formulating obstacles or making it too hard.
So could the slogan be working in groups, get to know your students, and don't be afraid of doing that and getting technology involved in this? I guess this is bringing us to our time, to the 21st century, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add, Mr. Sifakis?
No, thank you. I mean, I've enjoyed my talk. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Okay, thank you for sharing your
It's a
knowledge with us, and we look forward to having a good relationship.
Thanks very much.